Hey Sydney, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday. Thanks for chatting with me.
Of course.
So why don't we just kind of start right off by having you tell everyone a little bit about what your relationship with food was like prior to our work together. Obviously, we just finished up our 5-month program. So if you could tell everyone, what was your relationship with food like before we started the program and why did you really want to do it in the first place?
Um, okay, yeah. So before the program, I had already gone through eating disorder recovery a little bit, and I was sort of in between the period where I'd like finished eating disorder recovery through a different program and then was kind of on my own for a while, and just like sort of using the principles, but I wasn't really like I told myself I was sort of recovered or whatever. My ego sort of told me that I was recovered from the disorder, and I didn't really need to worry about it. But like over quarantine, I sort of realized that I still had some of the eating disorder behaviors, just in like slightly milder forms. And
Mm,
so it wasn't as disruptive to my daily life, but it was still disrupting my daily life. And just like intrusive thoughts and
mm,
like being spending too much mental energy on thinking about like food
mhm.
and like what constitutes as like a healthy food versus an unhealthy food. And like I was still like labeling foods as like good foods and bad foods. And
Mhm.
so I realized that, and then I was like, okay, maybe I should get someone to talk to about this and learn more about how I can get rid of these behaviors and thoughts. And
Mhm.
so I found Feel Good Dietitian on Instagram, and I loved all the posts, and it just was something that really resonated with me. And just focusing on like the true science and the true facts of like behind diet culture, and like all the things that they told you were like these principles that you must follow in order to be a certain way
Mhm.
and to look a certain way. And just I yeah, so because of like the Instagram profile, I decided to sign up. And yeah, that's sort of where I was before I started the program.
Yeah, I think you bring up such an interesting point where I think a lot of people get to that place where they're almost in like this pseudo recovery place where it's like, okay, I got beyond the inpatient treatment or whatever kind of treatment you may have gone through, but I still feel like I'm maybe in this place that is actually kind of what diet culture prescribes, right? Like I had these intrusive thoughts because I'm still labeling food as good and bad, or, I'm feeling guilty for eating this and that. And I think it was so brave of you to want to continue to move forward and beyond that and to, go towards intuitive eating so that you can get beyond those things. So how would you say now that you've gone through this process, how would you say your relationship with food and body and all the things has changed?
I would say my relationship with food changed the most, because when I was like the eating disorder recovery, the first like I went through like therapy. The first like therapy I went through really helped me get over the body image issue and
Hmm.
the like excessive workout regime.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I had gone away with those, or for the most part, and just or I was able to catch myself more easily on those.
Yeah.
But with thoughts around food and labeling foods as good and bad, I wasn't as easily able to catch myself in those moments.
Hmm.
And so now, like when I am able to, like after reading the intuitive eating book and going through the program, I'm able to better like catch myself thinking those thoughts, and be like, wait, those aren't my thoughts, those are diet culture's thoughts. And then
Hmm.
I'm like, oh wait, this is based on like this is a gross system that I don't even support, like I don't believe in this, science doesn't support it. And it's just, it's so horrible. And but they're not my thoughts, they're someone else's. So
Yeah. Yeah. So those intrusive thoughts, you're able to handle them differently. They've diminished a bit, I'm thinking.
yeah, they aren't as frequent anymore. And I'm more willing, like they may come, like maybe before I go out to a restaurant, I'll be like, oh my God, like what if this menu doesn't have anything for me to eat that's like healthy or whatever, or before I go over to like when I go meet with friends, like, oh no, like what if like I have to eat or whatever, like blah blah blah. I'm more relaxed about it. I'm like, chill out, like those don't really come up as much anymore, but I'm like, you need to eat, and then food will be there and it will come in whatever form it comes in. So
and I think that's an important thing to touch on, is that those thoughts will continue to pop up. I mean, the longer you practice intuitive eating, those intrusive thoughts diminish. But I think as you're going through like the thick of things and intuitive eating, you just become really good at addressing them or reframing them or choosing not to respond to them. You know, like they maybe still pop up, but you feel better equipped as to how to handle them. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I've learned to, instead of like hate the fact that I have these thoughts, I've learned to be more just like, okay, like I have these thoughts, but you are not your thoughts. And it's important to recognize that, because when you when you think you're your thoughts, you follow it with behaviors, and so you act upon them, but you don't always have to act upon every thought you have. Like everyone has crazy, insane thoughts that you have no idea where they came from. It's sort of like dreams. We don't know where dreams come from, but we experience them. But it doesn't mean we have to
act out our dreams.
Like it's like follow your dreams, but like I have some pretty weird
not
dreams.
Those dreams. I had a weird dream last night too, and I was just like, why did these things happen? Where did that come from? I don't know, but I'm not going to do the thing I did in my dream because that wouldn't be helpful.
Totally. It's all the spontaneous brain activity that we have no control over. And so but we do have control over how we respond to them. And so instead of letting myself being dictated by these thoughts that have been socially ingrained into me via the toxic messages, like on advertisements and in Instagram and whatever like social media platform you use, and the disgusting algorithms that feed you all these things. I get like random text message. Remember when I sent you that text message? That was like, what this like diet thing. It was like
do keto, blah blah blah. Actually, Body Image with Brie, I don't know if you follow her, she just posted something on Instagram today with like a screenshot of a text message just like that, where it was like, melt your belly fat, or it's like, how do they get our cell phone numbers? How are they texting
I know us? It's like, who is feeding me this information? And if I was in the 5th grade or like didn't know what I knew now, then I would have I would have clicked on that link, I bet, and would have sent me to God knows where, and probably would have hacked my credit card information. But
probably, but you're so right. It's like all these very like easily influenced younger, kids in middle school and high school. They're getting all this messaging that is pretty. I mean, I'm 30, so when I was growing up, it was just magazines. I can't even imagine how much more in your face it's got to be for the younger generations now. So that's awesome that you're able to, push out those messages. You're able to like put your hand up and be like, no, that doesn't serve me. I've done that and not so much anymore,
Yeah.
Did you have any fears going into the program? Anything with any hesitations, worries?
Well, my personal soul self had no fears going in, but then but of course, like my ego self, or the eating disorder voice, or your anxiety, or whatever you want to call it, it was telling me like, oh, you're gonna like have to change, and you're not gonna be able, or like this person is going to tell you that these thoughts are wrong, but you have to like, it was sort of like you're going to be told a lot of things that ego self won't like to hear, I guess, and you're going to be told that you're wrong, basically. And that's always hard. It's really, I was talking to my therapist actually about this today, but we don't like to change. Like we like things to keep going business as usual. That's why we still use GDP as like a measurement of like prosperity in societies, because we are so accustomed to it. We gotten used to it. And I've gotten used to these like behaviors. And so, but they haven't been working for me. just like
Yeah.
GDP hasn't been working as a measurement of prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to change. Like, it would be completely hard to implement a new measurement indicator that everyone would accept, and then we'd have to get new data on it or whatever. But like, Bhutan's already doing it, gross national happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But so I can do it too. Like, it
Yeah.
on a personal level, I can like completely reform myself and in a way that's going to benefit me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right in that, like, anything that challenges our, because that's what we're doing, right? We were changing your belief system. We're changing what you believe to be true. And anything that challenges that, there's that immediate pushback. And I think it's the simul heist. I should know this because I've quoted it like 6 times at this point. Simul heist, simul Weiss reflex, the guy that suggested washing your hands between surgeries so that you don't spread germs and create infection or whatever. And how whenever that was 18 something, people thought that was stupid, like, why would we change, why would we do that? Kind of similar to like the BMI, right? Like, not a great measure of health at all, but yet when you challenge that, it's just been the norm for so long that it feels uncomfortable to change it. And I think that's how so much of healing our relationship with food is that, like, we have these beliefs that have been ingrained in us over and over and over again, and to feel like what is wrong or just not helpful, the defense definitely goes up.
And you sort of like want to say, like, I remember in my recovery too, I would be like, well, like, I need to work out because like I'm going to, it's good for my health, and then but then I realized it's like more, it's not the fact that you need to work out. Like, yeah, we all need to move our bodies at some point here or another, but it doesn't have to be this like intense workout that Jillian Michaels is doing, or not to
don't make us
her.
go into that. I know you and I can sit here and exchange a couple words on that, but I feel like even in our conversations, I know you shifted so much just into like playing, right? Like, you loved like the idea of there being more playgrounds or just adults playing more, right?
Yes, no, like, I hate the fact that we have these things called gyms, like, why, and treadmills and things that just aren't fun to move your body on. I mean, okay, like, if you like the treadmill, go for it. But personally, I don't like running in like on a thing that just makes you go like this,
in
like
place.
in place. And
Doesn't
I
do
would
it for you.
rather like play tag with my friends, or like go on a walk in nature and be with the trees, and then stop every once in a while, if I see something cool, and just sort of like that way of movement, or just like turn on some music and dance, like it's just as simple as that. But we've been told that you have to do this specific, like, you need to do push-ups for arm strength, and then you also need to do cardio for heart strength, and then it's like, and then you need to like lift weights for like muscle mass, and you're like, wait, these aren't fun.
These aren't fun. Yeah. And I think it's so different for everyone, right? It's like, some people might like lifting weights, and like, that's awesome, do that. If you don't do that, there's other things for you to do as well, like putting music on and dancing, right?
Yeah, and I think I really internalized that, like, you need to do it this way. Like, this is the type of workouts you need to do, and this is the plan you need to follow, and you need to do it like XYZ days, and then you rest on this day. But during your rest day, you must also do something like yoga, or like you still must be like, it was like, or like go on a light jog. And I'm like, what? Where's the
very
rest?
prescribed. Very prescribed and rigid. Whereas now it's like, what feels good in that moment, right? Or in that day.
Yeah, I think the routine, like, I was very like focused on having a routine. And so I've been trying to get out of this like routine mentality, because life does not follow a routine. It is so unpredictable, and we like the certainty in the routine, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do this day, and then this that day, and like I'm just going to keep going in this circle. But like, it's not really cyclical. It's more like all over the place, and it's just
we like to think that it's cyclical, right? I mean, control is such a major element of all of this, but I feel like with 2020 and COVID-19, it's really shown us all that we're really not in control, and being a little bit more easygoing, going with the flow, can really benefit all of us.
Yes, I would
So,
definitely agree.
yeah. Is there anything that you might say to someone if they were like, I don't know about intuitive eating, without being preachy? Like, is there anything that, like, if someone had any fears or concerns, is there any like words of advice that you would give to anyone that may be on the fence or just kind of like thinking about it?
Um, so without being preachy is hard. But I guess I would say, like, I always say this to people when they're like telling me, like, when they're like resistant to try things. I'm like, well, don't knock it till you try it, first of all. And
Mm-hmm.
then but I would say, I mean, it's no different than what you did as a child. And or it's no different than sort of like, if you want to think about it in this way, you can think about it as following a plan. If you really like plans and if you like routines, like this can be your new routine. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a routine that fits every like way of living. So you don't have to be stuck to this like rigid schedule or this rigid program, but
Mm-hmm.
rather it's a it's like a set it's a set of guidelines that
Yep.
let you um live, still have a life and also eat food, like
Yeah.
it's, and like also move your body. And it's just adopting intuitive eating and like the principles within it isn't, there's nothing like negative that can really come from it that I can think of. And people are, you may be worried, well, like, oh, well, if I let myself eat whatever I want, I'm just going to eat like all these sugary things and
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not really what your body wants. Like, it's all about listening to your body and getting back into your body and being like, well, what do you want right now? Like, are you hungry right now? And
Mm-hmm.
what do you really want? And you're not going to always want sugary sweet things, because like that's just, it's like
You're not gonna
no
feel
one,
good.
yeah, you're not going to feel good. And if you really listen to your body, you won't overeat either, and you won't undereat, so you'll be able to feel more like satisfied after meals, and then have them like, you'll have prolonged energy. And it's just, there's, yeah, there's like no downfall. I mean, there's been critics, yes, there's critics of intuitive eating, but that main argument of like, you'll just eat whatever you want, you won't really, like, don't be afraid of listening to your body is sort of the advice I would give,
Yeah,
because it's
that's
yours.
yep.
And since it's yours and you're the only one who really knows it, then don't let anyone else tell you that you have to eat or drink or move a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a framework, right? It's a framework. The framework and the principles remains the same, but it's you and your body, and your body's different from my body, and we can take those principles and apply them into our own situation, and then our eating habits look different because our lives are different, but we're still applying the same framework.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I.
So don't be afraid. I love
Yeah.
that. And you can trust your body, but it is scary.
Yeah.
I think you're so spot on with like, that's the number one, that, and I'm afraid I'll gain weight, I think. But I'm afraid I'll never stop eating. And I just want to throw in there, because I know I said if you ate sugary food, you won't feel good. I also want to say, like, if all you ate was chicken, you won't feel good either. Or if all you ate was spinach, you won't feel good either, because our body needs variety. So not to demonize
Yes.
sugary foods, but just to say, like, we need variety and we need all of the things.
Yes, I can attest to like I would just eat vegetables like
Mhm.
during my, like when I was in the pitfalls of my eating disorder, and I would like, and maybe some protein source, but I demonized carbs, of course.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
diet culture demonized carbs, and I internalized that. And
Yep.
so I just wouldn't eat those. And then I felt tired all the time, and I felt low energy, and
Mhm.
just like craving carbs, of course, because I
Mhm.
wasn't getting them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, it goes for every type of food. It's just, you just have to really listen to what you want right then and now, and don't think about how it's going to affect you later. Well, yeah, like think a little bit ahead. Like, if
Mhm.
I eat this whole pint of ice cream, I probably won't feel well. Or if
Mhm.
I eat all these, like this huge plate of vegetables, my stomach's probably going to hurt. Like,
Yeah, because it's a
it's
boatload of fiber.
it's a boatload of fiber. Like,
Uh-huh.
so like, yeah, you can think ahead in that way. But more so like while you're eating is what I'd say, like really
Yeah.
listen, just take the time to like fully like be like, okay, how do I feel right now after I've eaten this much? And
Mm-hmm.
it's
Totally.
more
I
about,
think that's, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, I was done.
I was just going to say, I think that you're so right in that, like, think enough in the future about how it's going to affect me, but not so much in the future, like in 6 months or in 12 months or in 5 years. It's like, okay, how about in 4 hours after you eat, how are you going to feel? Are you going to sleep soon? Are you doing some type of movement soon? Taking that into consideration and how you want to feel and all those things. But when it's super far into the future, that usually just causes anxiety and stress and worry and all those things that we want to try to avoid as much as possible, because we're in a
Yeah.
pandemic here.
Yeah. We've
Or
got enough
yeah, we've
about.
got enough stuff to worry about for sure. Well, Sydney, thank you so much for taking the time to like tell your story and share a little bit. It's been obviously so amazing working with you. I've loved chatting with you and with Tiffany and all of the things. Anything else you want to say?
Um, Trying to like come up with a good close here.
It doesn't have to be like a mic drop moment.
Yeah, no. No, I would just say like to anyone who is struggling with an eating disorder, or just anyone who's struggling with thoughts about their body or about food or about their appearance in any way, just know that like it's not you who's really struggling with like this appearance issue. It's just this, or like these issues, like it's not, you don't really care about like how you look, or like about like what your body looks like, and how many calories you're getting in a day. Like you don't really want to devote mental energy to that, but it's just that you've been told that this is the thing you need to do. And I'm a huge fan of disobedience, so especially with diet culture. So you can say no to things that aren't working for you. So I encourage you to just say no to things that aren't working to you, for you.
Yes.
But yeah.
I love that. I love that. I think that's so true. It's like people don't want to do those things, but it kind of feels like there's no other way. So
Mm-hmm.
awesome advice. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thanks for chatting with me, Sydney.
Of course. Thank
All right.
you.
Have a good week.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.